I was reborn on the day of the concubine selection. When I died in my last life, there was only one little maidservant by my side, crying her heart out. That year, the snow in the capital fell unusually early. My coffin lay at the prince's manor for 3 days, yet he never once returned to see me. My soul drifted in the air, watching helplessly as he petitioned to have the son born to that woman named heir apparent, watched him ascend the throne step by step, and posthumously granted me the title, virtuous and gentle principal empress, a cold memorial tablet, a dismissive posthumous title, and standing beside him was the infinitely glorious imperial noble consort. They are surrounded by their children sharing the empire, and me, and that child he killed with his own hands, who turned to bloody water before it was even born. All we have left is a single memorial tablet. How laughable. How I refused to accept it. Monstrous hatred consumed me. When I opened my eyes again, I had actually returned here the beginning of all the tragedy. Next one, the legitimate daughter of the Minister of Rights' Lin family, Lin Yuyan. The eunuch's shrill voice rang out, pulling me back from my thoughts. The scent on the tip of the nose is the dragon's ambergris, unique to the Hall of Supreme Harmony, cold yet majestic. The man high above the throne, clad in a dark python robe, with a handsome face and stern expression. This is precisely the 7th prince, Xiao Jingchen. The spring of the 3rd year of He, the royal concubine selection ceremony. In my previous life, I was wearing a plain white dress, meticulously prepared by my mother. Because of my quiet, dignified demeanor and my status as the legitimate daughter of the minister's mansion, I was chosen by the Empress Dowager at first sight and betrothed to Xiao Jingchen to be his official consort. I thought that was the beginning of my happiness. I loved him for 10 years, from the age of 15 until my hair turned white. I managed the princely manor for him, won over court officials for him, and knelt before the Buddha for 3 days and 3 nights under the scorching sun, just to pray for his safe return from battle. I even took a poisoned drink from a political enemy for him, ruining my health and becoming unable to bear children ever again. But what did I get in return? In return, he brought the white moonlight he had hidden in a separate courtyard back to the manor, giving her a noble status second only to mine. In return, that woman flaunted her deep love with Xiao Jingchen in front of me, while he just said faintly, "Yuyan, you've always been magnanimous. Just let her have her way." In return, while I was bedridden and at death's door, he was out enjoying the snow with her, who was pregnant, on the outskirts of the city. I lifted my eyes and looked toward Xiao Jingchen. His gaze was passing over all the elaborately dressed young ladies, landing on the girl in the corner dressed in plain white, with a cool and detached air Su Qingyao. He pulled at the corner of my mouth, my heart turning ice cold. In my previous life, I didn't understand that look in his eyes. I thought he was just naturally cold, but I never knew all his warmth was given to another person. In this life, I will rewrite my destiny with my own hands. I took a deep breath and slowly stood up. I intentionally changed into this pink and blue dress. In my past life, Mother said the 7th prince was a steady person who disliked extravagance and preferred simplicity, so all the noble ladies in the capital tried to be elegant. In this life, I am going to do the exact opposite. Gaudy bright pink paired with lake blue, plus the heavy garish makeup that I had my maid apply a bit crookedly, made me the spitting image of an ill-mannered, aesthetically challenged daughter of a nouveau riche. Sure enough, as soon as I stood up, faint snickers could be heard from all around. The Empress Dowager at the head seat frowned, and Xiao Jingchen didn't even spare me a proper glance. The impatience and disgust in his eyes were almost tangible. Perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. Holding my skirt, I intentionally tripped my left foot with my right, stumbling and almost falling, then flusteredly regained my balance. My clumsy appearance drew even louder laughter. Your servant Lin Yuyan, pays respects to Her Majesty, the Empress Dowager, and to His Highness, the 7th Prince. I pinched my throat, my voice trembling, looking like someone who had never seen the world. The Empress Dowager's frown deepened. This is what the legitimate daughter of the Lin family of the Minister of Rights looks like. What an utter disgrace to the imperial court. Miss Ava, no need for formalities. The Empress Dowager's tone was flat. She had clearly lost interest in me. The process moved on to the talent show. In my past life, I played a piece called High Mountains and Flowing Water, which stunned everyone, and also made the Empress Dowager completely settle on me. This time, when it was my turn, I instead knelt down with a thud, on the verge of tears. Your Majesty, the Empress Dowager, have mercy. I know I am foolish and unpresentable, and I really don't dare make a fool of myself in front of your Majesty and His Highness. As I spoke, I secretly glanced at Xiao Jingchen. He was looking down, fiddling with the black jade thumb ring on his thumb, as if everything happening in the hall had nothing to do with him. But his slightly pursed lips betrayed his displeasure. I figured as much. Being in the same consort selection as trash like me dragged down his class. So naturally, he was unhappy. The Empress Dowager completely lost her patience and waved her hand. Forget it. In that case, you may withdraw. As if I had been granted a great pardon, I immediately lowered my head and retreated to my seat in a manner that was almost like fleeing. The consort selection continued. The selected ladies, one by one, used every trick in the book zither, go, calligraphy, painting, poetry, and songs, wishing they could display all their merits in front of Xiao Jingchen. But his gaze remained indifferent, until Su Qingyao took the stage. She wore a faded old white dress, bare-faced, yet her eyes and brows appeared even more delicate and refined, her aura as graceful as an orchid. She performed no talents but simply knelt there quietly, saying softly, "This humble Su Qingyao, my father is merely a 7th-rank county magistrate. This humble subject knows her status is low, and dares not vie for favor with the other noble ladies. I only wish to enter the palace to chant scriptures for the Empress Dowager, and to help share the burdens of His Majesty and His Highness." Her words were neither humble nor arrogant, carrying a hint of stubbornness within their coolness. Xiao Jingchen's eyes lit up. I saw his hand, resting on his knee, involuntarily clench. Just like that, in her past life, Su Qingyao relied on this distinctive cool pride to become the cinnabar mole on Xiao Jingchen's heart. However, back then, with me, the legitimate wife of prominent family background, in front, she could only be bestowed the title of a secondary consort, and later, for some reason, she didn't enter the manor, becoming Xiao Jingchen's mistress kept outside. This lifetime, I want to personally send her to his side. I want him to get his wish. The Empress Dowager hesitated among several noble ladies from prominent families. She looked at Xiao Jingchen and asked, "Imperial son, do you have anyone in mind?" Xiao Jingchen remained silent. He wanted Su Qingyao, but he knew Su Qingyao's family background was too low, making her absolutely impossible as a legitimate consort. If he spoke up, it would only harm her. The time has come. I left my seat again, kneeling in the hall. This time, I shed all pretense, my expression earnest, my words firm. "You're porting to Her Majesty the Empress Dowager. This humble girl has something to say." Everyone looked at me in surprise, including Xiao Jingchen. For the first time, there was a hint of inquiry in his cold eyes. "I know I am unworthy of the position and unfit to be the prince's consort, but I dare be so bold as to recommend someone to your highness." I turned towards Su Qingyao and said loudly, "Sister Su, though her family background is not high, she has a pure heart and noble character. Her words just now, seeking no riches or honor, only wishing to share the royal family's worries. Such a disposition is truly admirable. I believe your highness is a dragon among men, and truly needs a woman like Sister Su, who is indifferent to fame and fortune, pure, kind, and gentle to accompany you. Family background and status are merely fleeting clouds. Mutual understanding between two hearts is the most precious. I implore the Empress Dowager to grant a beautiful union between your highness and Sister Su." My voice had barely fallen silent, and the hall was dead silent. Su Qingyao looked at me, a mix of shock and delight on her face. Tears sparkled in her eyes, and she looked completely touched. Xiao Jingchen, however, stared intently at me. His deep eyes swirled with complex emotions. I couldn't understand shock, suspicion, and a hint of anger that I'd hit the nail on the head. The Empress Dowager was also stunned by my earth-shattering remarks. Ignoring everything, I kowtowed heavily. "Please, Your Majesty, the Empress Dowager, grant our wish. What is my status? The legitimate daughter of the Minister of Rights, the most powerful contender for the position of the 7th Prince's consort. For me to personally step forward to belittle myself and praise the daughter of a 7th-rank county magistrate. This in itself is an extremely persuasive thing. It sent a message to everyone. Even her biggest rival holds Su Qingyao in such high regard. It is clear this woman truly has something extraordinary about her. Xiao Jingchen probably didn't expect that I would help him to this extent. He finally stood up, providing the best confirmation for my words about two hearts knowing each other. Mother Empress. He knelt before the Empress Dowager, his voice steady. Your son has admired Lady Su for a long time. I beg Mother Empress to grant our wish. He admitted it, in front of everyone. He admitted his feelings for Su Qingyao. Seeing her usually cold-hearted and aloof son show such a pleading expression for the first time, the Empress Dowager's heart finally softened. Forget it. Forget it. A grown son is beyond a mother's control. The Empress Dowager sighed, her gaze sweeping over Su Qingyao. Since my royal son is also fond of her, then let's name Lady Su as the 7th Prince's official consort. It is just that your family background is rather shallow. You must learn more from the etiquette tutors in the future, and do not tarnish the royal family's dignity. Overcome with joy, Su Qingyao wept and kowtowed repeatedly to express her gratitude. She succeeded. She finally got her wish and became Xiao Jingchen's official consort. And I deliberately failed the selection, becoming the biggest joke in the capital city. I lowered my head, hiding the bone-chilling coldness and overwhelming glee in my eyes. Xiao Jingchen, Su Qingyao, I've delivered everything you wanted most right into your hands. I do hope you two will be very happy. Chapter 2, Ups and Downs in the Sea of Commerce. This farcical consort selection finally ended with the biggest dark horse, Su Qingyao, emerging victorious. When I walked out of the Hall of Supreme Harmony, the sunlight was just right, its warmth spilling over me. How wonderful. In this life, I no longer have to be trapped in that gilded cage and waste my entire life away. Returning to the minister's manor, I was greeted by my father's furious roars and my mother's disappointed tears. You disgraceful daughter, do you have any idea what you've done today? You've utterly shamed our Lin family. My father, Lin Liqing, trembled with rage, pointing at my nose as he cursed. My mother, on the other hand, held my hand and cried, Yanner, what on earth were you thinking? The position of the 7th Prince's consort is something countless people couldn't even beg for. Why would you give it up on your own accord? And to the daughter of a mere 7th-rank county magistrate at that. I looked at them calmly, not a single ripple in my heart. They were just like this in my past life, except back then they were ecstatic that I had become the 7th Prince's consort, never once asking if I was willing. In their eyes, I was just a tool to maintain the family's honor. Father, Mother. I pulled my hand away from Mother's and slowly knelt down. I know my actions today have brought shame to our family, but I have my own considerations. Considerations. What considerations could an unmarried woman like you possibly have? Father said angrily. Father, who do you think will become the crown prince among the current princes? I didn't answer, but instead asked a seemingly unrelated question. Father was taken aback. The current emperor has many sons, and the position of crown prince remains undecided. The first prince has military achievements. The third prince has powerful maternal relatives. The 5th prince is both virtuous and talented, while the 7th prince, Xiao Jingchen, whose mother consort died early, and who has no maternal relatives, is the most inconspicuous one. His only advantage is that he is patient and clever enough, having almost no political enemies in the court. In my past life, it was precisely because of this harmlessness that he became the final winner. But I know a secret that is enough to bring about Xiao Jingchen's utter ruin. Father, do you think a prince who, for the woman he loves, would go so far as to defy the Empress Dowager at the consort selection ceremony and publicly request a marriage, would be a calm and rational enough candidate for crown prince? My voice was very soft, but it was like a giant stone thrown into a calm lake. Father's expression changed in an instant. He is an old fox who has navigated the court for many years, and he immediately understood my meaning. Impulsiveness is a great taboo for a ruler. Xiao Jingchen has already committed this taboo today for Su Qingyao. Although I was not chosen today, it can be considered as selling the 7th prince a favor. In the future, if he gains power, he won't make things difficult for our Lin family. If he loses power, our Lin family can wash our hands of him completely. But if I had become the 7th prince's consort today, then our Lin family would be completely tied to him, flourishing together and perishing together. But what if he really succeeds? Mother was still not reconciled. "There is no what if," I said decisively. "Father, you just need to remember that 3 months from now, a once-in-a-century flood will break out in Jongnyon. At that time, the disaster relief official sent by the imperial court will trigger a popular revolt by embezzling relief funds, and in the end, it will be the 5th prince who personally goes south to quell the incident, winning the hearts of the people and the emperor." This was the other path I chose for the Lin family, using the memories from my past life. Father looked at me in shock, seemingly not understanding how I would know these things. I just met his gaze calmly. "Your daughter had a dream a few days ago, in which a deity gave me guidance. Whether you believe it or not is entirely up to you, Father." After speaking, I explained no further, kowtowed, then got up and returned to my own courtyard. I knew Father would believe me, because he is a gambler, a shrewd political gambler. I gave him a gamble with an extremely high rate of return, and he had no reason to refuse. Next, I feigned illness and stayed in, and began to plan for my own future. First was silver. Without money, you can't do anything. I had my trusted maid, Chuyue, secretly pawn all the jewelry and antiques my mother gave me, plus all that I had collected over the years, in exchange for 5,000 taels of silver then. With this money, I bought a rouge shop on the verge of bankruptcy in the most remote south city of the capital. I knew that in another 6 months, a secret beauty recipe called Jade Beauty Cream would leak out from the palace. This formula's effects were so miraculous that as soon as it appeared, all the noble ladies in the city would scramble for it, with the price of a tiny pot of Jade Beauty Cream being driven up to 100 taels of fine silver. And I happened to know that secret recipe, because in my past life, to win Xiao Jingchen's favor, I had gone to great lengths to get this recipe from an old imperial physician, and made it for him with my own hands. But he turned around and gave the Jade Beauty Cream to Su Qingyao. It was with this Jade Beauty Cream that Su Qingyao, even when she was over 30, still had skin as white as snow and a youthful face, firmly holding on to Xiao Jingchen's heart. In this life, it should be my turn to have this immense fortune. I changed the name of the rouge shop to Jinhua Pavilion, which means glorious years. I bought the most basic medicinal herbs and spices at the cheapest prices, and started working day and night, hiding in the courtyard to develop the formula. At the same time, stories about the loving relationship between the 7th prince and the 7th princess consort began to spread one after another throughout the capital. I heard the 7th prince had the entire prince's mansion renovated in the style of Jongnyon Gardens, just so the prince consort could live comfortably, because the prince consort is from Jongnyon. I heard the prince consort is frail, so the 7th prince searched the world for famous doctors to treat her. I heard the 7th prince has not taken any secondary consorts yet, doting solely on the prince consort. They became the heavenly couple everyone in the capital envied, while I became the foolish joke that highlighted the greatness of their love. Every time I heard these rumors, my trusted maid Chuyue would get so angry. "Miss, listen to this. They've gone too far. They're practically flaunting their affection right on your face." I just smiled and continued fiddling with the ointment in my hand. Flaunt away. The higher they're praised, the harder they'll fall. Xiao Jingchen, Su Qingyao, flaunt your love all you want. 3 months later, news of the Jongnyon flood disaster reached the capital, shaking the court. The situation unfolded exactly as I had seen in my dreams. The imperial envoy sent by the court pocketed relief funds, sparking a popular uprising. News arrived, and the emperor was furious. As the officials were at their wit's end, the 5th prince volunteered to go south, signing a military pledge that he would quell the disaster. Father was the first to stand up in court to support the 5th prince, and voluntarily donated half his family's assets as relief funds. This move made both the 5th prince and the emperor look upon the Lin family with new respect. And what was Xiao Jingchen doing at this time? He was accompanying his delicate imperial prince's wife to escape the summer heat at their villa. It was said that Su Qingyao couldn't stand the capital's heat. She'd suffer from heart palpitations and shortness of breath as soon as summer came. By the time he returned from the villa, the situation in Jongnyon was already settled. The 5th prince, due to his merits in disaster relief, was entrusted with important responsibilities by the emperor, and officially began to participate in court politics. The landscape of the fight for the throne quietly changed from that moment on. When Father returned home, he invited me to his study for the first time. He looked at me, his eyes filled with an unprecedented gravity and inquiry. "Yonner, tell father, what else did you dream of?" I knew I had won the bet. I threw out my second prophecy. In half a year, the northern frontier will go to war with the Ruran. The imperial court is bound to lose this war. And at that time, Marquis Dingbei, who guards the northern frontier, will request reinforcements from the court. The first prince will volunteer, but the one who ultimately leads the troops will still be the fifth prince. Father's breath hitched. If a war were to break out on the northern frontier, it would be a major event that could shake the foundation of the state. Father understands. He pondered for a long time, only to say this one sentence in the end. But I knew that from this day on, the Lin family would do everything in its power to become the fifth prince's strongest support, and I could finally go and do my own things with peace of mind. Chapter 3. The Jade Beauty Cream Incident. Jinhua Pavilion's Jade Beauty Cream was finally developed by me. I wasn't in a hurry to sell, but instead had Kuya take the first batch of finished products under the guise of a gift from the Lin Manor, and give them to a few ladies in the capital who were friendly with the Lin family. These ladies were all the most influential people in the capital's circle of noblewomen. Within 3 days, the miraculous effects of the Jade Beauty Paste had spread within their little circle. Have you heard? That Jade Beauty Paste from Minister Lin's household is simply a divine item. I've only used it for 3 days, and the fine lines around my eyes have already halved. More than that, the old dark spots on my face have faded a lot, and my skin is as smooth as a peeled egg. The word was thus quietly spread. Another 10 days passed, and after I was sure everyone's appetite was sufficiently whetted, the Jinhua Pavilion officially opened for business. On the opening day, I only launched 10 boxes of Jade Beauty Paste, priced at 50 taels a box. This price was enough to make ordinary people balk, but it fell precisely within the range that noblewomen could accept. All 10 boxes of Jade Beauty Paste were snapped up in less than half an hour. The next day, there were still 10 boxes, and the price was raised to 80 taels. On the third day, 100 taels. The price increased day by day, yet it did not dampen the noblewoman's enthusiasm at all. To get their hands on a box of Jade Beauty Paste, they even resorted to fighting each other in front of the Jinhua Pavilion. The name Jinhua Pavilion became famous throughout the capital overnight. Everyone knew that a magical rouge shop had opened in the southern part of the city, and the Jade Beauty Paste inside had the effect of restoring youth. Everyone wants to know just who on earth is the behind-the-scenes owner of this Jinhua Pavilion. I was hiding in a private room on the second floor, looking at the crazy crowd downstairs through the window, and gently took a sip of tea. First step secured. Just when my business was booming, an unexpected person showed up. It was Xiao Jingchen. He was wearing plain clothes, and appeared all alone at the entrance of Jinhua Pavilion. At that time, I was in the accounting room on the second floor, checking the books, when Tuya ran up in a panic, her face pale. "Miss, this is bad. The Seventh Highness is here." The hand I was holding the brush with paused for a moment. Then I regained my composure. "What is he here for?" "He is specifically asking to see our owner." I put down the brush, walked to the window, and saw Xiao Jingchen standing before the counter with his hands behind his back. He still had that same cold and stern look, but there seemed to be an extra hint of frustration in his brow. He didn't bring Su Qingyao with him. That is to be expected. How could someone as aloof as Su Qingyao come to a place reeking of money? "Let him come up," I instructed coolly. Chu Yu was a little worried. "Miss Yu, it is fine." I smiled. "Right now, I am just the owner of Jinhua Pavilion, merely a merchant. Surely the Seventh Highness wouldn't give trouble to a humble merchant like me, would he?" Soon Xiao Jingchen was led upstairs by an attendant. He walked into the private room and was clearly stunned when he saw it was me. He probably would never have imagined that the owner of Jinhua Pavilion, who stirred up the entire capital city, would actually be me, this abandoned wife. He despised and discarded. He stood there, staring fixedly at me. I was wearing a simple, plain-colored long dress, without any makeup, my hair loosely tied up with just a wooden hairpin, a completely different person from the heavily made-up idiot on the day of the consort selection. "So it was you." He finally spoke, his voice a bit hoarse, his eyes complex. I curtsied, my attitude distant yet polite. "This commoner, Lin Yuyan, greets your Seventh Highness. I wonder what business brings your Highness to grace this place with your presence." I called myself a commoner, not a subject's daughter. I was clearly telling him that I no longer had any connection with him or the royal family. He seemed to be stung by my use of commoner, and his brows furrowed. Lin Yuyan, you have some nerve. Do you know what crime it is for the child of an official to engage in business? He brought out his princely authority, trying to intimidate me. If it were the old me, I probably would have been so scared I'd have knelt down long ago. But now, I just smiled faintly. Your Highness must be joking. On the household registration documents for Jinhua Pavilion, the owner is listed as Mr. Wei, not this commoner. This commoner just happens to be here drinking tea. I had long ago prepared a way out for myself. On the surface, the owner of Jinhua Pavilion is a mysterious man named Mr. Wei, whom no one has ever seen. I, Lin Yuyan, am just the secluded and unknown legitimate daughter of Minister Lin's family. Xiao Jingchen was choked up by my words, and his expression turned even uglier. He was silent for a moment, seemingly trying to compose himself. Name your price. He finally gave up probing and got straight to the point. This prince wants the formula for the jade beauty cream. I sneered inwardly, just as I thought. It is for Su Qingyao, counting the days. It has been almost a year since Su Qingyao married him. The honeymoon period is over, and she still can't bear a child, so she must be getting anxious. Hearing that the jade beauty cream has miraculous effects, she must have begged him to come ask for it. I apologize, Your Highness. I lowered my gaze. My voice was not loud, but it was exceptionally firm. The formula for the jade beauty cream is not for sale. Insolent, he roared furiously. Lin Yuyan, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Do you really think that with Lin Liqing protecting you, this prince can't touch you? Calm your anger, Your Highness. I still maintained that unruffled appearance. It is not that I, a commoner, won't give Your Highness this face. It is just that this formula is Mr. Wei's exclusive secret recipe. I don't have the authority to make that decision. I pushed all the blame onto that non-existent Mr. Wei. Xiao Jingchen stared at me intently, as if he could make a flower bloom on my face. Good. What a Lin Yuyan you are. He was so angry he laughed instead. It seems I've underestimated you. Do you think you can hide in the background and have nothing to worry about? I wouldn't dare. I stood up, walked in front of him, and personally poured him a cup of tea. The fragrance of the tea curled up, shrouding the mockery in my eyes. Your Highness, you are a dragon among men, with a limitless future ahead. Why bother with small merchants like us? This jade beauty cream, though good, is ultimately just a worldly possession. Your love for the princess consort is stronger than gold. I am sure she wouldn't care for such empty fame. Every word I said was to praise her, yet every word was also stabbing her heart, reminding him of what he had already given up for Su Qingyao, reminding him that Su Qingyao, this woman who supposedly didn't covet fame and fortune, was now starting to pursue these worldly possessions. Xiao Jingchen's face instantly turned ashen. He abruptly flicked his sleeve, knocking the tea I had just poured for him to the ground. Lin Yuyan, you just wait! He threw down this harsh remark, turned, and stormed off with a flick of his sleeves. Watching his flustered, retreating back, I slowly curved my lips into a smile. Xiao Jingchen, this is only the beginning. What you and Su Qingyao owe me, I will get it back, bit by bit, with principle and interest. Chapter 4. The Fires of War on the Northern Frontier. Not many days after Xiao Jingchen left, news came from the northern frontier that war had broken out with the Ruren. The battle was brutal. The court's first wave of reinforcements was almost completely wiped out. Marquis Dingbei was seriously injured, and the northern border's defense line was in imminent danger. When the news reached the capital, the entire court was shaken. The Ruren Iron Cavalry was fierce, and no one wanted to go to the northern border to die. Just as the emperor was at his wit's end, the first prince volunteered to lead the troops into battle. However, on the eve of the expedition, the first prince ate something unclean by mistake, started vomiting and had diarrhea, and was bedridden with illness. With no one else available in the court, the fifth prince finally stepped forward. He made a military pledge in court. If I don't defeat the Ruren, I swear I will not return to the capital. Father once again strongly supported the fifth prince in the imperial court, and donated 100,000 shy of grain and fodder as military supplies in the name of the Lin family. The fifth prince accepted the mission in a time of crisis, and rushed to the northern border with the troops and provisions fully supported by the Lin family. And I, in the Jinhua Pavilion, met another guest, Su Qingyao. She came alone, without alerting anyone. She wore a light purple long dress, with a light layer of makeup on her face, still looking as pitiably beautiful as ever. But the anxiety and jealousy in her eyes could not be concealed at all. "Sister, long time no see." She spoke softly, as if we were still the best of sisters. I was too lazy to act with her, so I got straight to the point. "To what do I owe the honor of your highness, the prince's consort?" She didn't seem to expect me to be so direct, and the smile on her face froze for a moment. "You jest, sister? I just haven't seen you in a long time and missed you a little." She paused, her gaze falling on my face with a trace of envy. "Your skin is getting better and better, sister. It must be because you are using your family's jade beauty cream, right? Prince's consort, you flatter me." "Sister." She finally couldn't take it anymore, grabbing my hand and adopting a very humble posture. "I know you are still angry with His Highness over the day of the consort selection, but his hands were tied. He is sincere with me, and he is not without feelings for you, sister." I almost laughed out loud. Even at a time like this, she was still putting on this act of sisterly affection in front of me. "Prince's consort. What on earth are you trying to say?" I pulled my hand back, a little impatient. She bit her lip, her eyes reddened, and tears came as if on cue. "Sister, I am begging you. Can you give me the formula for the jade beauty cream, His Highness?" "His Highness has been vexed by my appearance lately. He said I am getting fine lines around my eyes." She cried a shower of pear blossoms, as if she had suffered the greatest injustice in the world. I looked at her, feeling nothing but disgust. In my past life, she was just like this, using this fragile and innocent appearance to win everyone's sympathy, including mine. I once thought she was truly kind, truly innocent. It wasn't until after I died and my soul was floating in the air that I saw the smug, gloating look on her face when she was with Xiao Jingchen. She said, "That idiot thought we were good sisters until she died." She probably never dreamed that her unborn child was a bowl of safflower I personally forced her to drink. At that moment, I finally understood how stupid I truly was. Before me, Su Qingyao was still sobbing. "Sister, I am begging you, as long as you are willing to give me the prescription, I'll agree to anything you want. Gold and jewels, His Highness's favor, anything I can give." "I don't want anything," I interrupted her coldly. "I just want you and Xiao Jingchen to be ruined and die a horrible death." Su Qingyao's sobbing came to an abrupt halt. She looked at me in disbelief, the color draining from her face. What did you say?" I said. I leaned close to her ear, speaking in a voice only we could hear, word by word. "Su Qingyao, do you think you won? You are just a worn-out shoe I threw away, picked up by Xiao Jingchen." "You?" She trembled with anger, raising her hand to hit me. I easily grabbed her wrist with such force that she changed expression from the pain. "Stop pretending in front of me." I shook her hand away, my eyes full of contempt. "I've seen all your cheap tricks before. Do you really think Xiao Jingchen loves you? He just loves your pathetic, damsel in distress act. It only satisfies his pathetic urge to protect. But once you are no longer young and beautiful, see if he'll even glance at you again." "You are lying. His Highness loves me for who I am." "Not my looks," she screamed. "Oh yeah," I sneered. "Then why did he personally come to me for the recipe of oolong cream, even going as far as to use his status as a prince to pressure me? Su Qingyao, you can fool others, but you can't fool me. You know better than anyone that your only asset is your face. Once this face is ruined, you'll be nothing. Get lost." I didn't want to look at her hypocritical face anymore, and spat out one word coldly. Su Qingyao left, looking dejected. I knew we had completely fallen out, and my feud with Xiao Jingchen was only growing deeper. Chapter 5. The fifth prince ascends to the throne soon. News of the fifth prince's decisive victory over the Ru ran in the northern frontier, reached the capital. He adopted the tactics I suggested in my dream, defeating a larger force with fewer troops, and achieved a stunning comeback. Not only did he lift the siege of the northern frontier, but he also recaptured 3 cities that Ruran had occupied for years. When the victory report arrived, the court and the public rejoiced. The emperor was overjoyed, issued an edict to infaugh the fifth prince as Prince Yong, and bestowed countless rewards upon him. For a time, no one was more in the spotlight, as Prince Yong's staunchest supporters, the Lin family's status naturally rose with his. Father was given the additional title of Grand Tutor to the Crown Prince, becoming a true imperial tutor, and as the legitimate daughter of the Lin family, my own position became somewhat delicate. The business at Jinhua Pavilion got better and better, and I was making a fortune. I was no longer satisfied with a small rouge shop and started venturing into restaurants, clothier shops, and banks. My business empire was quietly expanding in the capital city. On the surface, I was the delicate, legitimate daughter of the Lin family, who never stepped out of the house. But in secret, I was the influential and untouchable Mr. Wei of the capital's business world. My life was very fulfilling, very comfortable. I had almost forgotten about the two of them, Xiao Jingchen and Su Qingyao, until that day when I saw him again in a private room at my own restaurant. At that time, I was discussing the matter of opening up southern trade routes with a few familiar shopkeepers, when he directly pushed the door open and barged in, dead drunk, his eyes bloodshot. "Lin Yuyan." He stared straight at me, his voice filled with pain and resentment. Why would you do this to me?" Seeing the situation was bad. The shopkeepers all made excuses and took their leave. Only he and I were left in the private room. I frowned and motioned for Qiyu to close the door. "Seventh Highness is drunk. I am afraid you've come to the wrong place." My tone was flat. "I am not drunk." He staggered towards me, grabbing my shoulders with a force that nearly crushed my bones. "Tell me. Why did you help me back then? Why did you push Qingyao to me? Did you plan all of this from the very beginning?" I looked at his reddened eyes, which were completely bloodshot. Yes, I didn't deny it. At this point, there was nothing left to deny. I just wanted you to get your heart's desire, to let you and your white moonlight live happily ever after. I looked at him, smiling cruelly. "So, Seventh Highness, how does it feel to finally have the beauty in your arms?" He was stung by my words and took a step back, his eyes full of disbelief. "You venomous woman." "Venomous woman," I laughed even more happily. "Compared to what you and Su Qingyao did to me, what do these little tricks of mine even count for?" "What did we do to you?" he roared. "I just didn't choose you to be my princely consort, and you have to take revenge on me like this." "Didn't choose me?" It was as if I had heard the biggest joke in the world. I approached him step by step, the hatred in my eyes no longer concealable. "Xiao Jingchen, you really are a great man who forgets things easily. Did you forget who, when I was pregnant, left me all alone in the cold manor to go admire the snow with your Su Qingyao? Did you forget who, when I was having a miscarriage and bleeding out and needed you, you stayed out all night to comfort a frightened Su Qingyao? Did you forget who, when I was on my deathbed and just wanted to see you one last time, you wouldn't even grant me that pathetic wish?" Every word I spoke was like a heavy hammer, smashing fiercely upon his heart. "You forgot, Xiao Jingchen, but I remember everything. I remember it all crystal clear." He looked at me in shock, his face deathly pale, his lips trembling, unable to say a single word. "What nonsense are you talking about, pregnant? What miscarriage? Of course you wouldn't know." I smiled mournfully, tears finally unable to hold back from falling. "Because you never cared about me in your heart. There is only your Su Qingyao. Let me tell you, Xiao Jingchen." I took a deep breath. "I have been reborn. I crawled back from hell filled with hatred. The only reason I came back is to watch how you two, a shameless couple, will walk step by step toward your destruction. I sent Su Qingyao to your side just so you could see with your own eyes what kind of trash your so-called white moonlight really is. She is jealous. She is hypocritical. She is malicious. She even killed your first child with her own hands. Impossible." He shook his head, devastated. "Qingyao, she is not that kind of person. Is that so?" I took a golden buyao from my sleeve and threw it in front of him. "Do you recognize this buyao? This is the token of love you gave me back then. The day I had my miscarriage, it was Su Qingyao who brought it to my bedside and told me how she added a little bit of saffron to the pregnancy-stabilizing medicine. I drank every day. She said she wanted me to watch with my own eyes as my child was lost bit by bit. She said only if I died could she become your wife in peace." The crisp sound of the golden buyao hitting the ground also shattered Xiao Jingchen's final line of mental defense. He fell to his knees with a thud, clutching his head and letting out a mournful cry like a trapped beast. No. watching his agonized appearance. I felt not a single shred of satisfaction in my heart. I didn't want to see him anymore. "Qiu, see the guest out." I turned around, my voice weary. Chapter 6, The Madman and the Deposed Consort. From that day on, Xiao Jingchen went mad. He imprisoned Su Qingyao in the woodshed of the royal manor, tormenting her daily. He no longer attended court, drinking heavily all day, babbling incoherently, and telling everyone he met that he had killed his wife and children. He had become a complete madman. The emperor, remembering the father-son bond, did not punish him, but merely ordered him confined to the royal manor, never to leave for the rest of his life. The once infinitely glorious seventh prince had become a complete joke. As for Su Qingyao, it is said that she died of a serious illness less than half a year after being in the woodshed. She was emaciated when she died, barely recognizable. They all received their just desserts. My revenge is complete, but I wasn't as happy as I'd imagined. I handed over all the businesses in the capital to my father and left the city with Qiu. I wanted to go see Jiangyan, the place I'd never been to, but which had witnessed the love between Xiao Jingchen and Su Qingyao in my past life. The spring in Jiangyan was misty and drizzly, as beautiful as an ink wash painting. I walked on the bluestone path holding an oil paper umbrella, watching the crowds come and go, feeling utterly lost. I didn't know where I should go next, or what I should do. Just then, a dark-colored umbrella appeared over my head. I turned back in surprise and saw a face as gentle and refined as jade. "Mr. Wei." He looked at me with a hint of a smile in his eyes. It was Murong Yan, a business partner I dealt with a few times while doing business in the capital. He is the biggest cloth merchant in Jiangyan. He is a humble man, yet his methods are exceptionally skillful. I always thought he only knew me as Mr. Wei, but I never expected him to recognize that I am a woman. "Boss Murong, how did you know? Your eyes." He looked at me, his gaze gentle and focused. I saw them once, and could never forget them. My heart skipped a beat. I heard there is a new prince in the capital who has lost his mind, and a peerless beauty at that. He mentioned it casually. Everyone says he was ruined by a woman. I lowered my eyes and said nothing. I think they're all wrong. He closed his own umbrella, took the one from my hand and held it up to shelter the two of us. He wasn't ruined by someone else, he brought it upon himself. He stood very close, and I could smell the faint scent of tea on him. Let the past be the past. He looked at the small bridge and flowing stream ahead in the misty rain and said softly, "Miss Lin, the spring in Jiangyan is beautiful, but the summer scenery of the northern kingdom is also uniquely charming. I wonder if Miss Lin would be interested in going with me to see it." He smiled, and his smile held a hint of profound meaning I couldn't understand. I forgot to introduce myself. I am Murong Yan, from Northern Yan. Northern Yan, the neighboring country that is as powerful as our great Zhou. He looked at him, and suddenly I understood something. Turns out he wasn't just a simple merchant either. All right. I looked into his sincere eyes and on impulse nodded. Perhaps leaving here, going to a brand new place and starting a brand new life, is where I truly belong. As for those past memories, that hatred and resentment, let them all dissipate in the misty rain of Jiangnan. Epilogue: years later, I became the first queen from a different surname in the history of Northern Yan. Me husband, Murong Yan, never took another concubine for my sake. We watched the vast snowfalls of the northern lands together, and walked along the little bridges and flowing waters of Jiangyan together. I occasionally heard some rumors about the great Zhou. He heard that the king of Yang eventually ascended the throne and ushered in an era of prosperity. I heard that the people of the capital often saw a man, acting like a madman, at the gate of the former seventh prince's mansion, repeatedly shouting a woman's name. Yanner, my Yanner. That man had no children, lived a lonely life, guarding an empty prince's mansion, and became a stunningly beautiful madman. As for me, I had long forgotten him. Sunlight streamed through the window lattice, falling on our clasped hands, mine and Murong Yan's. He was teaching me to play chess. I lost terribly, but I smiled happier than anyone. "Husband, I lost again. It is all right." He looked at me tenderly, his eyes full of doting. "You have a lifetime to beat me. In this life, I finally found my own true happiness." The end.